Alrighty. Hello, hello, and welcome back to the show. I have a guest today. Her name is Colette. I'm going to let her introduce herself, but I'm just going to give you an idea of what we're talking about today. So Colette is an integrative mind body coach. She has been through the coach training. We are going to talk about her experience, but more than that, it's how is this mind body connection awareness? How has it impacted your life and your client's life? Like, how has it impacted your world? I just want you to share your experience and offer value to someone who maybe is listening and has no idea what we're talking about. So, Colette, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Kim. Thank you so much for having me be part of this opportunity. So, as an integrative mind body coach, this training was one of the most potent components for me to bring everything together, all of my life experiences, all of my trainings, and be able to put them in an opportunity for my clients to be able to achieve long-term success. In the past, my clients would come to me and I could provide for them very short components of change, but nothing was long lasting. And integrative mind body coaching has been this, what I mentioned before, this icing on the cake that brings everything together.
So what did that look like? So because there's lots of coaches out there, right? And helpful, and there's a lot of modalities that you came in with, actually. What are the things that you do, like before you came into this training? Because I know you wanted to integrate them,
Yeah.
but what were they?
So I'm a yoga and meditation teacher. I am a shamanic medicine practitioner. I am a breath coach. I am also a psychedelic and integration consultant. And I hold space for women, and not just women, but for people to have psychedelic experiences and then to integrate those experiences into their lives.
So what were you seeing throughout those psychedelic experiences and being in those communities that led you here?
I was really seeing a lack of long-term change. I was seeing people having these amazing mind expanding experiences and ready to make changes in their lives, but then they would go back to their life and then they would get disfragmented. And yes, there was still some change, but I was seeing that they needed to have more support. So all of those downloads that they would get during a psychedelic experience can actually then be part of their life.
Mm. So it's more the like integrating the experience into who they are and embodying like
Yeah.
this new individual with this open expansiveness. Is
Yeah.
that what you're kind of
It's
saying?
like it comes in and they have this awareness. It's like the crown is open, the third eye is open, but it doesn't have an opportunity to get all the way down into their cells. And this is why they keep wanting to go back. It's like 2 or 3 months later, I'm ready for another experience. I'm ready for another experience. And it's like, whoa, wait. What has shifted in your life from the messages and the downloads that you received through your mind expanding experience? And
Okay.
that desire to want to go back, because it is mind blowing.
So it's like a dopamine hit. So they want to go back for that, see what's there. And it's always a surprise and a mystery. So I'm curious about something. They like, I want to put this together with like kind of the experience that we've done together in the training and then how it relates to that. So what else is relatable to that experience? Like when they have a catastrophe in life, or when they're like, when something gets cracked open, leave a job or lose a job or a husband or lose a parent or a significant or a child. Is it like for those who, because not all of my audience understands psychedelic medicine and, or any of these things, which is fine, but there's a lot of talk about it. And so I think like, I'd like to kind of look into how does it relate? Because in my life, like losing a significant person, dealing with death or some sort of trauma, or like just what's happening in the world right now, like not knowing what's going to come banging on your door or what's going to be next. Where's the connection of those two, Colette?
I refer to it oftentimes as you get this shoulder tap, a shoulder tap from spirit. There's been something that needs to change or that has already shifted in your life. Maybe it's the shoulder tap, I need a new job. I need a new career. Maybe it's the shoulder tap, a family member, somebody that you love is dying. Maybe it's a shoulder tap that I need to start eating well. I need to lose weight. I need to move to a different city. Whatever these shoulder taps are, this is kind of the download that I talk about that happens during a psychedelic experience. It's like something needs to shift or something is shifting. Now what? I know I need to move forward and I know I need to take steps to move forward, but what does that look like and how do I do that?
Okay. So what I'm here, so this is like when we're doing mindset coaching, like, and showing them like, actually it's your thought that's creating this feeling, that in that moment, they kind of have that moment of awareness, like what you're talking about. Right. Or when we're doing emotional processing, you've been a candidate, but you've also seen it happen. So in the emotional processing technique, and then they're just like, there's this mind blown. So what you're saying is that happens then. And the same exact, which is, now what do I do with this?
Yeah.
So
now that I have the information, what do I do?
Beautiful. So is it more the habit and behavior, and like, how do I embody this new identity so that I can actually bring, like, acclimate to my life to this body?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You have a big shift in your life. Now you need to know how to show up. Now you need to know, oh, I have this awareness. I know that something needs to shift. Now what?
Love it. So what would that look like? Like for you, your big shift, you came into the training, right? You're like, I have all this awareness. I have all these tools. Now I need to integrate them together, put them into a process.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. And I had to do it for myself first. And because I have been working on myself for so many years, I have been healing layer after layer after layer. This was a way for me to kind of package everything that I had worked on within myself, what I knew, what I was being, what I was thinking, how I was feeling, and how I was showing up. But sometimes there was something missing. There was still something that was running in the background that I didn't understand why I was stuck. I could feel good in my heart and I could feel good in my mind, but there was still like a root that was keeping me stuck. And this integrative mind-body integrative approach, it allows me to be able to find out what was that root, and it's a big one. And you pull that root out, boom, there's this big shift. Now you get to show up in a different way. And it feels different in the body. It feels different in the mind. You think different. You talk different. You walk different.
I was about to say, actually, it's when everything is different. We saw this in Self-Healing Masters this week, right? We were coaching, and she was like, everything, like in that moment, and there was no psychedelics involved, but in that moment of mind body coaching was everything just changed. All of a sudden, I could see all the pieces, all the parts, all the. One of our clients, I think it's Tori, said, it's like, I used to have a flashlight and I was looking for like the door to get out of the dark attic, and you showed the light switch, like the mind body coaching showed the light. Like now we just turn on the light and we just see.
Yeah.
Like those kinds of moments.
And it's interesting because when we look at the word psychedelic, it means mind manifesting. So when you have manifested something in your mind, that's great, but you now need to integrate it into the body. And this is where this integrative mind body coaching, it is bringing it all together so you can be more whole. You can feel more whole. And you actually feel lighter because the root of that issue is now dug up and you can see it. And you're like, oh, there we go.
How does the addicted to journey compare to addicted to like the healing sessions? You know how I'll talk about
Yeah, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. It feels so amazing in that moment. And we think that's what we want in life, is that amazing feeling that happens in that moment. But that's just the beginning. That's just the awareness. Now it needs to be integrated into your life. It needs to be integrated in how you're showing up.
Mhm. This is so much like that awareness I came to in the mindset community.
Yeah.
It's like you can mindset yourself and keep getting those spurts of,
Yes.
because the mind wants to
Yeah.
know something, everything. And so it's an opportunity to know. Beautiful. All right. Anything you wanted to add before I move on with my questions?
Well, it is exactly the same as when you have these aha moments versus when you have an aha moment in a psychedelic experience. And you think you keep wanting to go back to the experience. You think it was the experience that was the healing, but that was just part of it. Just like the awareness in an aha moment, that is part of the healing, but now it's like integrating that back into your life.
Mm. It's almost like gambling and hitting the jackpot, and then you just keep going.
Going back and going back and going back and going back. And this is why I love plant medicine, but it doesn't need to happen all the time. And for some it's a one and done if it's done correctly, because you can have this big aha moment. And when that huge aha moment is then integrated into your life over the next 6 months, over the next year, you are a completely changed person.
Mm. How do you feel about the toolbox to use for like the behavior and habits and like, because we just talked about this before we did the interview of the phenomena of like what happens in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 100 times. So for you personally, you had all of these healing modalities, which are so powerful. I know I've done so much of it myself, and I don't know that I would be here like in the way that I am if I wouldn't have had body work, craniosacral, energy work, lots of these things. And the same as your story, there was like, okay, I have all this awareness of what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Right.
have all this awareness of
Yeah.
what's going on. What do I do with it?
Yeah. It's very, very interesting to be able to help somebody in the moment. Like, you help them in the moment. I can balance somebody's chakras. I can clear out densities. I can help somebody have an aha moment through a psychedelic experience. But the minute they walk out the door and they go back to life, it just, there's density out in the world. They get fractured back to how they were before they came in. Yes, they feel great for a while, but it has to be integrated.
I'm curious how much, like, did you just keep seeing this over and over, and that's why this worked? Yeah. So
Yeah.
whenever you came in, I remember you were interviewing a lot of other coach trainings. And one of the things that stuck with me is they wanted you to learn their way, this new way. Like, I'm going to teach you this, like I'm saying with the mindset model, like, here, this is all you need, but
Yeah.
you knew that wasn't true. And in those interviews, or in the process of looking at that, when you were determining, and then you heard like, wait, I get to keep all the like all the pieces. Do you want to
Yeah.
share that story?
Well, and I was curious as I was looking at all these different coach training programs, and they all felt like they were going to take me off of course and put me on another track and send me down that track. And I didn't like that, because I love what I do. I love the tools in my toolbox. I wanted to be able to stay in my own lane. I just wanted to get out of the slow lane and get in the fast lane. Like, I wanted to be able to use all of my tools that I had previously been using and be able to coach people.
Of that. All right. You ready? I got some personal questions.
Okay.
All right. So and then listen, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, but I love some of this about our relationship. And I think it's effective for other people to hear that it's possible, because I do see you as such a huge success story in who you are. But so I first met your ex-husband, and he said, you really need to know this person, right? And so there was I don't even remember. I think maybe I followed you. We somehow connected, and maybe he told you to reach out. I'm not sure that happened, but I remember getting on a call with you. And so you were divorced or going through a divorce?
I was 3 months moved out of the home.
Okay.
And he comes to me and he says, "You're the wounded healer, according to Kim." I was like, okay, I don't know that I like that term, but whatever. But I was curious.
What is that? Yeah. I see. I don't even remember that. That's what he picked up from our conversation. That blows my mind. We were talking about like human design and like all kinds of other stuff. And I didn't even know that. Okay. So that's what he told you. And so you were like, and you reached
Yeah.
out, we got on a call.
And I was originally interested in looking at how to scale my business, because I had just moved from a different state, and I never had to do marketing. I didn't need a web page. I had my following, I had my tribe, I had my business. Moving to a new city, I was like, nobody knows me here. All right, I need some business coaching. So that was originally what was my in.
I remember, because I remember the questions about your package and what you're like, I remember.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. And then something shifted again. And that's when I was looking at different coach training programs. And I got an invite to the Belief Bootcamp. And it was in that Belief Bootcamp that I actually saw you coaching, and I knew you were a yoga teacher. I knew that you were a hypnotherapist. Like I was like, oh, she's got all the woo-woo stuff too, and she's a coach. So she's not going to make me put my toolbox down. She's going to let me carry my toolbox with me through this coaching process.
Interesting. So you guys who are not on the email list to get these random invites into things that might change your life, just so you know, maybe you need to sign up. All right. So Belief Bootcamp, and then what was next?
Well, that's when I was like, oh, I didn't realize that you had a coach program also, because I originally was just looking at business at eSchool. And then it was through the Belief Bootcamp that I was like, oh, wait, she does coaching too. Wait a minute, I need to learn more. And that's when I got on another call with you and learned about the coach training program and the business coaching. And I'm like, put a package together. And you're like, I got one for you.
Nice. All right. So what is it that you saw in Belief Bootcamp with my coaching that was different than what you had seen before?
It was how quickly people were able to get to the aha and look at the root. And that oftentimes takes a big psychedelic experience. It takes a life change. It takes a divorce where you look at this root that needs to be pulled up. And I saw you like get it like that. And I was like, I want to learn that. I gotta figure this out. Yeah.
It's like I found the splinter.
I found it.
I pulled it out. All right. So you, I think I saw this on social media. So yesterday I celebrated your graduation, and your ex-husband, which was really cool, commented on it, knew you two would hit it off. I had the chills. Like that was so powerful for me that it felt like full circle from my perspective. Like, wow, this is it, right? No accidents of who we come across and how we come across. So and I follow both of you, and so I'm friends on both sides. And to watch the engagement, and a few months ago, y'all were together, had a conversation. He sent a message like, so excited that we had done this work together and how different you were. That gives me chills. That's so powerful, because it really is it's almost this conscious uncoupling, right? But there's still love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of learning experiences out of that. But it brought me to you. Like
just watching that unravel, and both of you in your wholeness, both of you went on your own journey, healing journey. And now to be sitting here it was humbling. It was humbling. And it gave me like, it relit, like it refueled, I'll say. You know how your gas tank starts going down? I feel like it refilled me with this motivation and inspiration and courage. Yeah, it's courage. It's courage to continue.
Yeah.
This is not hard. This is hard. It's not an easy topic. What I bring to the table is not popular. We're talking about healing unresolved trauma. We're talking about like depths and roots and all the things that we have buried deeply. Our brain has buried deeply. And I'm just like, let's go get it, you know?
Yeah.
And so whenever I saw it, and I'm saying I felt humbled, but I also felt inspired. I want to thank you for that, for your transparency, the vulnerability of both of you. And then putting that like even on social media where I can see it and experience. It was like such a gift to refuel. It's yeah, that's the best way I say it. It's like I think I didn't even know I was low.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Y'all think I just got it together, and that I'm never going to run out of drive and juice.
Little go juice there for you.
Yeah, a little go juice. Anyway, okay. So where I was going with this is I saw a post that you put up, or maybe it was even commenting on mine about your why with your mother. And I think there's a few of us in this container that feel the same way, but I want to hear it from hear your story and your perspective.
Yeah. So I was adopted, but by two parents who both came from highly traumatic families. And when they got together, they're like, oh, we are not going to traumatize our children, which was fine. But I watched my mother in particular suffer with emotional problems that turned into physical ailments, multiple surgeries, multiple medications, just you name it, fibromyalgia, chronic pain, chronic illness. And she ended up dying at 55 years old. I was always told that your mom had an emotional problem. And I thought that meant it was in the brain because they kept trying to give her drugs and trying to talk it out of her brain. But the truth is, emotions are not in the brain, they are in the body. And nobody ever taught my mom how to feel and process emotions. And because of that, the locked emotions from her trauma were stuck in her body. And that is the disease. Yeah. And so my passion, my absolute passion is it's going to get me teared up. I don't want anybody to have to suffer like my mom did. She suffered enough as a child. She deserved to have freedom as an adult. And that is what fuels me to help people when I see people that are suffering with chronic illness, chronic disease, chronic pain, inflammation, multiple surgeries, a pharmaceutical list of drugs. It's not in their head. The mind and the body are so deeply connected that the emotions, the traumas get lodged in the body and energy cannot flow. And where energy cannot flow, nothing happens. That is the definition of dis-ease. It is dis-ease. I don't want anybody to lose somebody at 55 years old. I mean, I'm almost 55 years old and I'm like, I'm not a couple years away from dying. And I want to help people understand that the mind and the body are so deeply connected that when you understand this, you can heal your body from anything. I don't care if the doctor said, oh, this is incurable. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's the nocebo effect. If the doctor says it's incurable and you believe it, that's the nocebo effect.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you got access to this and had that recognition, what was that?
It was the biggest aha of my life that, wow, my mom needed an integrative mind body coach. So my mom could learn to heal herself, so she could feel and process her trauma, so she could learn to feel and process her emotions, so she could be free from all of it. Yeah. When I see people suffer, I see my mom in them. I can't help it.
Yeah. And it's interesting. We can come back to the wounded healer, right? So as a child, seeing this suffering, you didn't have the suffering, but seeing the suffering, and then we take it on. This was my story with my dad. We take it on, and then we move through life trying to fix this discomfort, this dis-ease that we adopted, this dis-ease within ourself that we thought was that's the wounded healer. That's the definition. So Jason may have been right. I did not know he picked that part up, but that's brilliant, which is like makes us a magnet to brokenness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that we could take to the law of attraction, that needing, because to what degree do I agree? And we're just kind of stuck to it. So that's a big flipping driver. I'm going to say something you can't really put out, right?
I can't.
Totally took this on as, how old were you when you recognized her suffering?
At a very young age. I used to read the PDR, and she had so many drugs, and I was fascinated by them, and I would read about them, and I'd see the drug interactions. I was always wondering why my mom? Why is my mom always in the hospital? Why does my mom have all these emotional problems? Why does my mom keep having surgery after surgery after surgery after surgery? Why is my mom in the mental hospital for 9 months at a time once? I kept wondering why? And now I know.
It's crazy. Little did you know that it would lead you.
When I was younger, I used to always say that my mom was my biggest cheerleader. And I know that she is now my biggest cheerleader.
And with your openness to life and being able to see outside of the minute worldly living, can you see that as something that was always supposed to be? Can you see, like, what's the awareness you're having now?
I literally had a conversation with my mom's brother last weekend, and I shared with him that I now realize how my mom's suffering was my biggest gift. I saw it as a curse my whole life. I was pissed at all the people that traumatized my mother. But now it is my biggest gift. It is my biggest inspiration to be able to help people heal and process their trauma so they don't have to suffer, and their children don't have to suffer, and their grandchildren don't have to suffer. They can be there. My mom didn't get to see her grandchildren. She didn't get to see her grandchildren.
Yeah.
It's big work.
It's fascinating what drives us to, like I'm saying, watching my dad's suffering, and which was all about my mom's emotional issues. Left her kids. I never knew my mom. And then she got killed when I was 9, but he never stopped wanting to fix her, to help her to come home, her to help, that I took on that sadness. And that's probably a big part of why I had depression and sadness. And, it's like, for him to stop suffering, it's so hard to watch your parents suffer.
Yeah.
And you want to fix it, and you want to be good. You want to be a good kid. You don't want to add to that. And we take that into our relationships. But, we were talking this morning about a few of us having the same driver that our mother brought us to.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember going through the stages too, right? With why did she have to do that? Why was she that way? Why wasn't she ever there? Why? All the way to, like, I remember like saying something like calling her a bitch or something. My dad was like, she was not a bitch. Like, he was all defending her. And I was like, I don't care about you defending. I don't even know who she is. Like, I was just like, I was mad. And I was like an angry teen and young adult about it. It's like, don't expect me to respect her. She didn't even have the respect to, like, get to know me or anything about, and I could see that defensiveness, that love. So the emotional illness is such a big deal. We just walk around talking about mental illness. And, this is my whole thing with the integrative mind body coaching is, if the emotional body would have been addressed, I wouldn't have had the years of all the stuff that I had. And so when I started like making videos of it and talking about it and the pie, you know, putting the pie together, and then it getting rejected because no one else understood it, then I was mad. And I was like, I just got to get more people who understand it. We just got to make more impact.
Yeah. Yeah. We often think that when we have these emotional problems, that there's something out there that is going to solve what is in the body. It will never happen. It can be a Band-Aid. There's all sorts of Band-Aids you can put all over the body, but that doesn't fix what is stuck within the body.
Yeah. And these tools that we talk about, the mind-body processing, the emotional processing technique, these somatics, the tracking, the like all of the things that we do in mind-body coaching.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if she would have, you know, these people would have had that back when, because they came in with so much trauma from generations before them.
I
How
used
would
to
they know?
think each modality that I have learned through the last 10 years on my healing and spiritual journey, I thought, oh, if my mom you learned meditation, this would have healed her. Oh, if she would have done yoga, this would have healed her. And oh, if she would have done plant medicine, this would have healed her. And now I'm realizing that it's that and integrating that within her body, learning to feel and process those emotions.
Yeah, it's integrating the unfelt perception. It's just a perception, but we think it's, yeah. Anyway, we won't get into that for today's call. I want this to flow right into where it was going, which was the breath work that has changed your life dramatically. It's one of your most prominent tools.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about this before coming onto the call. What has like you facilitating breath work for your clients, for yourself and for them, and what this could have done for other people as you're thinking? What do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. And when we look at the word breath, we look from the Sanskrit word prana, which means God. When we bring the breath into the body, it knows where to go to heal and unlock stuck trauma. It just knows. You don't have to, when you take a breath, you don't have to tell it to go into the lungs and do the CO2, O2 exchange and spread through it. Like the breath is the intelligence of God. It is inspirado. It is spirit. And when we bring the breath intentionally into the body, it heals us. Absolutely. In fact, nobody ever died from breathing. Like it is truly, it is the elixir of life. And we intentionally, especially when we do it on a daily basis. And I have some breathwork journeys that I give away for free, where you are taking 30 breaths deeply into the body. That can change. That can change your body. It can change your chemistry. It can change your mind. It can change the way you feel. I can't talk enough about how important the breath is. And when you really think about how important the breath is, when you stop to breathe, you cease to exist. It's the breath of life. We hear this all the time. And to intentionally bring it into the body.
And then, yet when we're stressed or thinking or worried, it's the thing we restrict.
Yeah. We hold our breath.
We're all walking around.
Yeah.
Like out with life not inside of us, with more life that could be held inside of us.
Shallow chest breathing. They've done studies of people that have had heart attacks, and 97% of them were shallow chest breathers. 80% of the people that had heart attacks were mouth breathers. We're breathing incorrectly. Life gets stressful. We hold our breath. I joke all the time that I put a screwdriver in my hand. I hold my breath. Like I am not confident or comfortable with a screwdriver, and I have to intentionally breathe, breathe. We think that when we hold our breath, it's going to help us. And it is actually the opposite. Breathe through the resistance.
Yeah. What's your thought about breath work versus psychedelic? Because breath work is a crazy experience. I mean, there's light breath work on the entry point, but I've done some intense breath work session that like my wholeness just like,
Yeah. You do a breathwork journey. Usually the ones I facilitate are anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour where you were consciously breathing. There is always somebody that sits up. Did I just have a psychedelic experience? Like, what was that? And sometimes in the room, they're afraid that maybe nobody's had a psychedelic experience. So they'll call me over and they're like, I feel like I just took some mushrooms. Yeah. Yeah, you probably do feel like your brain will release a little bit of DMT. DMT is produced in the body, and you do have these mind-blowing experiences without having to actually take a mind-blowing substance like a psychedelic.
yeah, I have a friend that's has been in extreme grief for a long time, and I facilitated a breathwork session with her, and she's like, I've never, like, it's like I wasn't here. It's like, and then yet I was in here more than I have been in 2 years. So she kind of explained it as both, like, it's like a going into, and then bringing that into so deeply in that you actually land back. And because of the grief, she's separated, right? She's like, for, you know, how we do this for, say, this is the mind body disconnection. So, that's one of the, she says that's one of the only things that has given me relief.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I see it time and time. I led a breathwork journey last night on healing the 5 primary trauma imprints, and there was not a dry eye in the place.
Mm-hmm.
It was, oh my gosh, what just happened? How was I able to release that trauma out of my body? And that's through the breath. This is the somatic experience.
Yeah.
The breath is potent medicine.
So good. So for those who are listening, like, are you can do breathwork sessions, and then you also bring breathwork into your coaching. So it's just like your toolbox. It's one of the tools that you use, but they could also just get breathwork.
Oh yeah. Oh
Even
yeah.
if they're
Absolutely.
not doing coaching. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I have people, I hold an online breathwork ceremony each full moon. I've been doing that for a long time. And then I also have these breathwork sequences that I just give away to people because I want them to get excited about breathing. And they're just short little 5-10 minute breathwork that you can do every day. But it gets people curious about, ooh, what happens if I were to do a whole breathwork journey? Boom, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that shoulder tap, that mind expanding experience that, oh, I've been blown out of the water. Ooh, now what do I need? And this is where integrative mind body coaching helps you integrate that mind blowing experience back into your body so you can take that wisdom to you throughout your life.
Nice. We will put a link in the show notes to get one of a link to her, those sessions for you guys to try, and also how you can contact her. Is there anything that I did not ask you about that you wanted to share, or like whether it's about your experience personally that led you here, your experience through the training, or just what are you hoping for?
You know, what's really been the most exciting thing for me with this coach training program is the results that I'm seeing in my clients. My clients are winning at life, and it is mind blowing. I have clients that have wanted to start a business. Boom. They got all of the roots out, all the procrastination, what was holding them back, all of this out of the way so they can bring their passions to life with greater impact. Whether it's being dysregulated from your body, whether it's not understanding what you need to do in life, you just kind of feel like you're not your fullest, to people that are completely dysregulated, to people that seem like they have their stuff together, but they want more in life.
Those are always interesting. It's like, I love what we do. It's such a like wide array on the spectrum, you know, of these life-giving modalities. That's literally what it is.
Yes.
Whether we're using the breath, the tapping, which is still the breath, no matter what modalities we're using, and even in the sessions that we do, it's still the breath.
Yes.
It's like it always boils down to that.
Yep. Yep. Breathe deeply. The deeper you can breathe, the easier things are.
That's good. And the what you just said, like, and for me also, it's the satisfaction, like my satisfaction with you and what's going on in your life and your clients. It's almost like grandbaby satisfaction when my clients start winning, right? Like when the work expand, the ripple effect. It's like you can look at a lake that's so still and you just throw one bird lands and those are the moments
Mm.
that's, especially for
They,
a generator, just satisfies.
they, my clients make my day. That's absolutely when I see them winning, and it's not easy. Oh, it's not easy. You can ask each and every one of them. They have had to do the work. It's not a magic pill. I mean, if I had a magic pill that I could give you and say, here you go, they have to do the work, but I I support them in their goals so they can have the clarity to move forward in life.
Yeah.
Manifest their dreams, not my dreams, their dreams. And when their dreams come true, I'm celebrating right there with them.
Yeah. It's a bit different than the wounded healer. It's so much more empowering than us trying to fix that in other people. Instead, when we show up at the table with the wholeness, with the integration, how much easier is that compared to when you're trying to, whatever did I see? Love shouldn't cost you. It shouldn't cost your body. It shouldn't cost you see what I'm saying? Like love should not cost.
Yeah.
But when you're in codependent, people pleasing, like the other side of some of these unhealthy relationships, it's actually the giving of self. And we're kind of been taught that, like in Christianity and martyrism, and you're earning your way to heaven. You should give of yourself.
Right.
And that's a big wounding.
I remember the first time I heard about boundaries, and I thought, well, that's really mean. If somebody needs me, of course I'm supposed to be there for them.
Well, how would you know if your mother didn't know? How would
No,
you?
exactly. No, exactly. Learning about conscious boundaries is an important component that I work with my clients on because I had to work on that myself.
Oh, I remember the moment I was in the mental, like in this program, and that counselor said that, and I was just like, oh my God, he's like Antichrist. Like,
Yeah.
I immediately put up that barrier, and I was like, this is dangerous. Like, this is bad.
So crazy.
All right, my friend. Thanks for coming on, for meeting.
Thanks for
I will
having me.
put your stuff below. And they'll see you around, guys. If you're in the More Than Mindset Facebook group, Colette is there. She's usually engaging. She's also in Self-Healing Masters. So this is the container, the membership, which is for mind, body, coaching, and business, which is for health and wellness practitioners who are doing something big that need assistance. These are the coaches that we are bringing into the container so that you can get access to these modalities, to breathwork, to Ayurveda, to mind body coaching, tapping, all of the things, the healing modalities, but in the integrative process. And so you get the whole body taken into account with your business. And that's our main thing, is like, who are the brave souls that are coming forward to serve a lot of the brokenness in the world, and how can we host a container that keeps us built up, like the way I felt when I saw Colette's post. Like that refueled me when our clients win. It's almost like this it's like a gift, like that. The word's not coming to mind. That I used to think like I needed that reward for my hard work, in order to keep me in the game. I needed God to recognize me, to witness me, to bring awareness, send a sign.
It's how we know that we are elevating the consciousness of the planet. Like when we do our work and we see how that ripples out and it starts affecting others, we're like, oh yeah, it's because I'm doing my work and that's helping others.
And those hits of satisfaction and inspiration are what would keep the healers and the practitioners and the wellness advocates. And I think it looks glamorous from the outside when people see some of the stuff. Yeah, we get the stage, we get the mic, we get to talk to a lot of people, we're doing big things, but just so you know, we are still humans, like having the same doubts and fears, and we still have limiting beliefs. We're never going to be done with that, but we have the tools so we could sit in the tough stuff. We could sit in it and be with it and not try to make it go away and try to feel good all the time.
Yeah.
Like we actually learn how to feel all things so we
Yeah.
can have everything.
Yes. We have to be able to feel it all. Like I said, every emotion from white to black and every shade of gray in between. That's the beauty of the human experience, to feel the emotions.
Yeah. And you're on all social media channels. You're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah. All right,
Follow me.
guys.
Follow me for more.
That's a wrap. So it'll take a minute to end both of these. Just realizing that I cut off YouTube too soon.